this task we had to research different music magazines and different music magazine industries and conglomerates such as Bauer IPC Media and Future Publishing. After this research we had the task of creating and producing our own music magazine based on a music genre of our choice. I created this video using Macromedia Flash, a program used to make animations. The video is about researching these three media conglomerates. For my music magazine, I chose to do the genre of country music because I thought it would be a good idea to do something different that would suit more of a niche market. I used programs such as Adobe Photoshop and Adobe InDesign to make my music magazine, creating 4 pages, a front cover which was made on Photoshop, and a contents page and double page spread created on Adobe InDesign. While creating the magazine, I looked at the codes and conventions of other magazines, so I knew exactly what I needed to do in order to make my music magazine look realistic like a normal music magazine would. Some of the generic conventions of music magazines include the masthead, the lead, drop capitals, serif font, sans serif font, crosshead, mode of address, cell lines, banners, house style, borders, strap lines, bylines, and anchorage. This is what I decided to call my music magazine, Peak. I chose this name because it refers to the mountain peaks, which is countryish, but also refers to the top of country music. The cell line for my country music magazine is "We're at the top," which is clever because it has 2 meanings to it. The audience for my music magazine is mostly males of the ages 16 to 40 due to the magazine featuring mainly new country music artists. The music magazine will be distributed to a niche but national audience. This is a small passage for my ideal reader of my magazine that I created, and this is a collage of all the things that would be advertised within my magazine on what the readers would like. This relates to Ian Ang's imaginary entity theory, where conglomerates think of an imaginary ideal audience member for their media text. The price of my monthly magazine is £3.20, therefore I am targeting people with more disposable income and in the ABC1 sectors of the NRS social grades. This is the front cover for my country music magazine. This follows the codes and conventions of a real music magazine in lots of ways. The main cover image of my front cover shows a model posing in a medium close-up shot. The model is looking straight towards the camera. This is known as the direct gaze, and is a convention of all music magazines to show that the model on the front has something personal to tell the readers. My model is dressed with a black shirt and a cowboy hat and is holding a guitar. These are stereotypical conventions for a country music magazine. The model on the front is an ideal self, which is the theory by Carl Rogers, where audiences will look at the model and aspire to be just like them based on the way they look and act. This is the masthead for my music magazine, created using Adobe Photoshop. It follows typical features of a music magazine and includes the cell line directly below. The masthead follows the rules and codes and conventions of a typical music magazine, such as New Musical Express, as it is situated on the top of the page, big enough for the audience to recognise it, which would allow the brand name to gain a bigger reputation every issue. Eventually, after a number of issues, if the magazine was being recognised nationwide, such as the Kerrang magazine, that's when it would be a good and creative idea to have the main cover image slightly over at the masthead of the magazine, like this. The front cover of my magazine was created on Photoshop and is made up of many different layers of images and text that you can sort through and rearrange. As you can see, the front cover of my magazine follows the rules and codes and conventions of a music magazine in many ways, such as the use of a large main cover line directly in the centre of the page, just like this NME magazine does. The main cover line of my magazine says in big bold letters the name of the country singer on the cover, Jackknife Jones. This is also used as anchorage, linking the main cover image with the main cover line. I challenged a typical convention of a music magazine, which was that most magazines use a sans serif font for their main cover line to make it easier for the audience to catch their eyes. However, I decided to challenge this convention of a traditional magazine and chose a font with serif font to contrast with the genre and make the font seem more country. The name of the font I decided to use was Onyx. I also used this font for the album cover images created for my magazine. The magazine also has a pull quote above the headline. A pull quote is a quote taken from an article or interview in the magazine and made to stand out to draw in the readers. It can also be used as anchorage, Roland Barthes' theory, to juxtapose the pull quote with the main cover image and therefore linking them together. This pull quote is taken from the double-page spread, saying, "I was on the road for 20 days and 20 nights," referring to the article in my magazine of how country music singer was touring the United States and how he was drained of all his energy when getting used to that music star lifestyle. This pull quote is also featured on the double-page spread. To back this pull quote is one to look out for when reading the interview and article. The house style for my country music magazine includes the colour scheme of yellows, browns, blacks and white. These colours back up the genre of the music and are stereotypical colours you would see in a country music magazine. This is the contents page for my music magazine. I created this contents page firstly by drawing out a rough flat plan for it on the computer, like this, and then I began to create this on Adobe InDesign. The design of my contents page was pastiche from this contents page from a New Musical Express magazine. Here's both of these pages put side by side. You can see that the layout is basically the same. The images used on the page contain models who I photographed specifically for my music magazine. The backgrounds on these images have also been taken by myself and later added on using Adobe Photoshop. I pastiche the style of text from the NME contents page where different fonts are used under different images to give a unique look to each story. Every model used in the images on my contents page is dressed to look like a country music star, stereotypical of a country music magazine. These are all uses of Carl Rogers' ideal self theory. Finally, this is a double-page spread I created for my music magazine in InDesign. I pastiche this double-page spread from this sample from an NME magazine. The page I created has one large image on the left, a medium close-up of the model for my music magazine, who I named Jackknife Jones. The model is looking towards the audience in a direct gaze. This connotes he is willing to tell the readers what he has to say, backed up by these two pull quotes that he was trying to attract the readers into viewing the article. One of the conventions of a typical double-page spread are that the text is separated into columns. In my double-page spread I separated the text into 3 different columns. The text begins with an article about the artist, followed by an informal interview in the mode of address, peer-to-peer. This makes the interview more personal and informal so that the readers can enjoy reading it. My double-page spread includes a slug line, which states that the page features an interview. This is featured at the top of the page. There is also an album cover by the artist I created using Photoshop. I featured this in my double-page spread to back up the main idea of what the interview is about.